got a 3-year-old unit. Well, got a unit low on Freon. You can see one of these energy devices that turns off the AC on the front of the unit. Some of the electrical companies out here in California hook these up so they can turn the unit off at peak hours, and then they pass on a little bit of energy savings to you, give you a cheaper rate on your air conditioner. This one's actually mounted on the service door. Okay, boy, I'm gonna take this door off. Yeah, I got a unit that's low on Freon. It's not cooling, so. Or at least not cooling very good, anyway. Get into this, and then I'll go downstairs and turn the unit on. I'm going to go ahead and get my gauges set up here. I'm going to charge this up here. My gauges are not in the best shape, especially the high side, so I'm just going to be charging it up through the low side today. It's time for me to order some new gauges. Right here is our service line hookup, and what you want to do is make sure the valve is off up top here on the low side and the high side. Okay. I remove my Schrader valve cap and listen for any kind of hissing to indicate if there's a leak. It seems okay. And it's got these quick connect fittings. You always want to use these quick connect fittings. You really want to wear gloves too, but since I'm just going through the high side, it's not so bad. I'm just going through the low side. It's not so bad on the low side. It's a little worse on the high side. Okay, now that the line's hooked up there, I want to make sure we purge the air from the line. And then I'll go ahead and hook up the middle yellow line to our refrigerant can. Top here. Water. Bags in here. Don't need those yet. Okay. And again, I've got a quick connect up here. You don't need a quick connect as much on these on the middle line, but because you can turn the refrigerant off here. But anyway, I have one on there, so. Okay. Then we're going to open our can of refrigerant here. And this is R22. Okay. There we go. And then purge our line here. So I'm just going to crack it. Let a little refrigerant out. Now we're ready to charge it. Just going to open it for a second, and then go down and turn the unit on so we can charge it. Yeah, it feels like it's low. Okay, I'm gonna run downstairs and be right back. on now. Everything's running good. Fan motor's running. Compressor's kicked on. And you can see this is showing only like 10 pounds of pressure. Not too good. Definitely low on Freon, so oh yeah, sounds thirsty. So I was working in this unit yesterday. Noticed the air conditioner wasn't cooling, so you know I needed to get up here today. Get up here early before it gets hot. There's the accumulator. And it's starting to get cold. It's about cold about halfway up, but anyway, once it's, I'm just going to do this one by feel. Like I said, my gauges are kind of on their last leg. Time to replace them. See how loose that is, but I mean this can be tightened up, but also the needles are kind of bent and the caps are starting to fall off, so time for some new gauges. But these are a capillary tube system, and the nice thing about a capillary tube system is it's a lot more forgiving than other systems. It can actually, you'd have to really kind of try to overcharge these. But anyway, once it's nice and cold on both sides here of the accumulator, then I know it's going to be good. So I'm just going to wait until the splash is nice and ice cold. And like I said, if I put a little bit of extra refrigerant in it, it's going to be okay because it just holds it in the pot. And the way the capillary tube system works is it's a fixed orifice, and so it only allows so much refrigerant through at a time. And you know, if you're a little bit overcharged, it's not like it lets more refrigerant through. It just stores it here and lets it go through. As long as you're only charging with vapor, you don't want to flip your can over and charge it with liquid, because then the liquid might stay in the lines and can actually cause liquid slugging of the compressor. Well, you can probably hear the refrigerant going into the system, and you can hear the change now as the pressures are starting to balance and get more closer to where they should. You can hear the sound difference, less refrigerant's being suctioned in as it starts to climb. We definitely have a leak somewhere, possibly here at the Schrader valve, which is where you usually get your leaks. You can kind of see some signs of moisture or oil right there. Kind of guessing it's from the Schrader valve. Pop it off and take a peek inside, high side. Hear the pressure difference now, the refrigerant going in is a lot less than it was when we first did this. Now it doesn't seem to be leaking from the Schrader valve, so I'll go ahead and tighten that back on. What I have is this leak repair additive that I can add to the system, because this one, it's been good the whole summer. Hasn't gone low on refrigerant or anything. So it's just got a tiny micro leak in it somewhere, and those additives are kind of good for that as long as there's no moisture in the system. Again, feeling my line still not cold. It's kind of warm. And we can check what our pressure's at here. Try to get the camera to focus a little bit. There we go. We'll go ahead and turn the hand valve off and see where we're at. Yeah. Now we're at about 40 pounds pressure there. And on the green dial, we're probably at 15, so we've got a ways to go. You can probably hear it. I'm going to turn it back on. lot of people don't like these janitrals too much, but they are pretty easy to work on. Pretty simple. Maybe I've just gotten used to them. Been out here for a while, so. Kind of the nice thing about only charging through the low side, if you're using the high side, you can get more of an accurate reading of where your refrigerant levels are at. But the nice thing about only using the low side is actually it's going to release less Freon into the air, into the atmosphere. When you purge the high side, it lets a lot more Freon out, and you know, this is the high side is your liquid side. So when you disconnect your hose after you're finished, and you have to release the Freon that's left in the hose while all that liquid, you know, refrigerant is in there, and you know, you're having to release all that. But by just going through the low side, it's releasing a little bit less Freon. I'm sure some people disagree with me on that, but that's okay. Anyway, when you work with refrigerant long enough, you probably will reach someday where your gauges aren't working properly, and you're going to need to be able to charge the unit by feel, you know, or by temperature. And the other way we can check this is check for the 15 to 20 degree split inside the unit at an incoming and an outgoing register. I have a video on that. If you want to see that, I can put the link on this video. It's starting to get there. It's starting to feel a little colder down here. Alright. Up on the rooftop in Palm Springs here. Give you a little view around, look around while this thing charges up here. It's pretty nice up on the palm trees here. My palm trees are due for some trimming. Got a lot of dates on them. Pretty good dates too. I snacked on a few. If you look around, you can see the mountains over there. It's a nice cooler day now. It's actually cooled off out here now. This summer was a little bit milder. I think the hottest it got was about like 119, something like that. I remember a few days where it was 116. Those were pretty warm. But I've had other summers where it's hit as high as 127 degrees, and so this summer was pretty mild. It got away easy. And I went through and, well, we preventative maintenance the heck out of our air conditioning units to make it a better summer, so had a much better summer. This can take some time, and there is a couple ways to speed the charge. With the compressor being low on Freon, the Freon helps cool the compressor, and with the compressor being low on Freon, the compressor starts to get pretty warm. If you have an ice pack, you can put that on top here, and that can speed the charge, or some really cold water. So I can have some cold water. And I'm just going to pour it on here, avoiding the electrical contacts, obviously. And that helps speed the charge a little bit. It's starting to get there. once I'm all finished, I'll have to follow this up with that leak additive to seal off any leaks here. See this line down at the bottom of the compressor? Kind of funny. It's actually a heater. It heats up the bottom of the compressor, and that helps it when it first starts to be in the refrigerant to be in kind of the right condition for starting the compressor. Kind of weird. You wouldn't think you'd need a heater for that out in Palm Springs, but that's the way it is. Right here is that filter dryer. You can see the arrow pointing this way. On a heat pump, the arrow will point both ways. That arrow will point both ways on a heat pump because the heat pump has a reversing valve where it changes the direction. Where here the condenser is removing heat from the unit, and at the evaporator it absorbs heat. On a heat pump, it can switch to where, you know, the evaporator was absorbing heat and the condenser was giving off heat. On a heat pump, it can switch back to where now the condenser becomes the evaporator and the evaporator becomes the condenser. They switch roles. So you can heat your unit with a heat pump or you can cool your unit. Heat pumps are a lot more sensitive about the charge. Your charge needs to be a lot more accurate, whereas like I was telling you, these units have capillary tubes, so they're a lot more forgiving. It's getting there. Take a little water myself. Another shot of Palm Springs here. Mountains there. There's a tram that goes all the way to the top of the mountain up there. I guess there's like a cafe, stuff like that. I've been out here like 8 years. I still haven't been up there. Someday maybe. Or not. Bird snacking on some dates there. Happy campers. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. Getting there. Just takes a little time. Seems to be in pretty good condition for being 26 years old. Still kicking out the cool air. Getting there. This is an accumulator. Kind of helps prevent liquid refrigerant from getting to the compressor and then slugging the pistons. A lot of units these days don't have these on them. Some of the heat pumps have them inside the unit. These ones have been done outside. It seems they went to some extra step to preserve these units. This one doesn't have it. It's on some of these other ones. They've got another safety device. This one's been taken out on the high side. That's got a little piston in it as a protective shutoff. See if one of the other units has it. I'll show it to you here. This one, no. Bring you over here since this takes a little time. Wow, all these are gone. It's like they took them out on this whole roof. Maybe I'm not going to get to show you. There is one. See right here, this deal. I'm not sure what you call this exactly. Maybe somebody else can tell me. And exactly how it works, I'm not sure either. I think it just has like a piston that cuts off the flow if something's wrong, if there's something wrong in the system. It's something for me to learn a little bit more about. There's always more. Anyway, go back to our unit there. You can see these service mats. You always want to do your refrigerant work and your air conditioning work on the mats, especially if you're changing a fan motor or putting in a new unit. You don't want to put any chunks in the built-up roof material. Anyway, it's getting colder. We're not there yet. Disconnect boxes over there. Kind of a funny story. I heard of some places where the disconnects, they had people stealing all the units. They were stealing air conditioning units. Some rougher areas, there's have to do some drastic methods, but anyway, I heard about where what they did was they bypassed the disconnect, so that if you wanted to turn off power to work on the unit, you'd have to go into the unit itself and turn off the breaker. And it's sort of like an electric fence. I was thinking about it. It's kind of like having an electric fence as a deterrent for people stealing units. They had people stealing the refrigerant and stealing the entire units. And by having the power where you can't disconnect it, they were less likely to take those. So, and they were stealing the disconnects and all that kind of stuff too. So there's some rougher areas out there, call for some drastic measures. It's not the norm, but in those situations, people have to get creative to do something different if there's a rough area. It's getting nice and chilly now. Still got a little ways. Might put a little more water on the compressor here. Let's speed this up. I can feel it flash a lot, you know, after I put the water on, and then I feel it at the unit. It just seems like all of a sudden it draws a lot more refrigerant in. It's starting to flash nice and cold now. Almost there. Now, if you can see it so much in the camera, but you can start to see a little bit of sweat on the line. It's colder. Not completely there yet, but we're real close. That's the little high side line to the compressor. You want to avoid touching that, especially on that end. I mean, back here, this part of it, it's not so hot, but right there, it's really hot. I've burned my arms lots of times by accident. Touch that. It's like not the best soldering job down there, but definitely not the worst I've seen. This kind of looks like a newer compressor too, like this isn't the original compressor, I'm just guessing. Like it was replaced at some point. Oh yeah, we're getting nice and chilly. Chilly. Test again is going to be checking for that 15 to 20 degree split inside. But it's going to happen. I've done enough of these to know the way it is. Good now, nice and chilly. Can't trust my gauges, they're just too old. I gotta get some new gauge heads. See how it's showing 25 on the green dial, 50 on the pressure. Difference it makes. I think it's supposed to be like a high of 81 or something today, 85. I'm not too sure, but it feels nice now. Probably about 76 degrees outside. Feels good. Nice and chilly. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the line here. And then disconnect the line. Listen for any leaks there. Everything's okay. And then make sure we put our Schrader valve cap back on. It's like our second gate. The refrigerant in the system. I like to do them a quarter turn past height with my pliers. Not too crazy, just crazy enough. There we go. These are good there. Come up here and turn our refrigerant can off. our hoses. Okay, then we have to release the refrigerant from the line. We don't want to leave it stored in there. Unless I was going to go and charge another unit right away, which I'm not, so I'm just going to release it. There we go. Now it's out. That one too, middle one also. Like I said, if we had the high side hooked up and when we release this, you would see it just, you know, spraying out like the white mist, and a lot more refrigerant gets trapped in that line. And that's kind of the advantage of only hooking up the high side, but really the more accurate method is to hook up the high side. But anyway, we're good here. Alright, hey, subscribe so you can get some of the, be the first to get some of the new videos when I put new videos up. I'll try to make some more good videos for you. I'll see you out there. Okay, so here it is inside the unit. It's already dropped to 75. I think it had started around 78, 79, something like that. And the air feels nice and cool coming out of the vent. Let's go back here to where the evaporator is and the air handler. Well, here. And just like on the roof, the low side should be nice and chilly all the way to right here, and it is nice and chilly. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it kind of starting to sweat. You can see in my finger when I, for a second, that's like moisture. So that's why we've got the insulation here. So it's nice and chilly. Perfect. See it there? The moisture on my finger. There we go. Got your condensate drain, drain vent right here. Alright, good old hydronic supply lines. Good to go.